Folks, it's Friday. We're back. There's new stuff behind me. That's not a kitchen or a green screen. It's Friday night. It must be the live version of the Ultimate Schmodown Show. We're here to break down the recap of the first two matches of round 3. We'll call it the eccentric 8. I don't want to get copyrighted on some lawsuits because we heard from our man Frank Janish that we can't use those proper terms. But joining me this week, per the usual, are the boys John Barr and Boggs. Johnny, how's it going?
It's going all right, Colin. We were talking before the show. We're all coming into this pretty tired. There's a weird cursed energy in the air. You can feel it. But we did get 2 very good matches, at least out of this interesting week. So I'm excited to talk about that. Something that brings a little bit of joy into our lives, huh? Let's do it.
And Boggs, I know I brought some joy back into your life. There was football on last weekend. There's football on this week. How you doing over there, buddy?
Yeah, it definitely helps, man. It's like every day, right? I don't know if in the US they show all the
we have baseball every day.
And
it's kind of been like kind of baseball every day here because the playoffs are going kind of 4 games a day. It's been kind of nuts, but I know it's kind of the same over there.
Yeah, but plus you got like baseball, football, and basketball, right? You got your pick.
Right.
With the football, we kind of league competitions and the cup competition, so it's on like every day, so that's good. But yeah, like you said, two really good matches this week, and I can't wait to speak to our guest as well. She's a big kind of personality in the space, so yeah, can't wait to get kind of just kind of pick her brains with all things Shmona.
And Alex joining us from Mornings with the Outlaws. So we're getting a little Outlaw Nation synergy going on over here, folks. And it's going to be fantastic.
This is her initiation.
Yeah.
Even though she's not young, but
Right.
If anything, it's she's going to initiate us finally.
True. Yeah. So, guys, we had 2 amazing matches this week that if you thought you knew how they were going to go, I'm going to call you a liar. So we'll start off with match number 1. Was William Bibiani versus Liz Shannon Miller. And this was just one that you kind of had a feeling there was just a huge wave of hype coming with Liz. It's just striking down every single opponent that, the tournament put before her and has yet to disappoint. And John, I didn't have a feeling that she was going to, strike again. But strike away she did.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where certainly, obviously, this is a show that has a lot of love for Chance Ellison, but also a show that never really counted out Liz Shannon Miller. So it was one of those things where when she got that win, I think all of us were a little bit like, oh, okay, hold on, stop the presses. Let's go back to the drawing board on this. We might have just found ourselves the dark horse of this tournament. So I was definitely coming into this like, listen, definitely can't count out Liz. You also really can't count out the Beast because as much as Chance has been able to do, particularly in this digital season, William the Beast Bibiani has done quite a lot in basically every single season he's been a part of. He's had some major moment, one at least. So it's definitely one of those things where it's like, truly what this match did is that it proved just how good both these 2 players are and how good both these 2 managers are. This is kind of a real testament to the fact that this new era for the Schmodown, yes, we've seen a lot of really great rookies, but we've also seen players who have been in this game, Liz for a season, William for a little bit longer, still updating with the times, and how we'll never fail to be surprised by this game, Colin.
And I hate to say it, but I don't hate to say it, but I've never been surprised by Liz. It's the way she's played that her confidence has been extremely like, this doesn't seem like a shock because she doesn't seem shocked. She doesn't have like, she doesn't emote quite like some other players emote. She misses a question. She moves on to the next thing. She wins, she moves on to the next thing. She handles her outro just like she handles her intro. She's a professional in the game at this point, and she's arguably only she's been in the league for 10 months and now it feels like she's been in for 10 years. just in the way that she handles herself, and she's made the transition from studio to digital, and just been able to be calm and present and in the moment. And Boggs, we haven't seen, it's a short list, right? There haven't been too many people who've been able to transition and been able to be consistent in the digital space quite like Liz.
Yeah, I mean, I think her and Winston have discussed it before and after this match, where she felt like she's had the knowledge and the gameplay there. It's just that she wanted to be a part of a team, basically, to help with her confidence, help with her studying, help with her kind of showmanship as well. And I think definitely Winston has brought that, just that, whether it's 5-10% extra in your overall gameplay. I think Winston's done that. But having said that, I was definitely going for Bibbs before this match. I wanted to see how far kind of Liz was going to push Bibbs, just being the kind of clear favorite overall. But, just seeing his record before the match, I don't remember, I didn't write it down, but I think it's 12-8 before the match. And I thought Bibbs, being how good he is, he's lost 8 matches. That seems like that's not the kind of best win to kind of loss ratio. And I thought, how is someone so good lost so many matches? And I just think, I'll discuss it kind of at the time. I thought I did see a change in the match where I thought I saw his head drop a little bit. But and I think obviously we discussed it last week, John, that he can get in his own head a little bit. And I kind of forgot that going into this match in particular. And I did see that happen, which I'll discuss later on. But yeah, super interesting. And I just kind of like to see the managers going at it as well, where they were respectful, but I loved how kind of just overall involved and how invested they are. You feel like their personalities are so involved and linked with their teams and players. And I did kind of appreciate that overall going in.
And of course, we're talking about the Mercs, we're talking about Swag, we're talking about Coy, and we're talking about Winston. These are two managers that have set themselves apart this year in terms of vibe, in terms of the atmosphere that they create for their players during the match. And it's truly been a strength that they're able, it's a card that they're able to play each match. And unlike some managers that we've seen this season, Tom Dagnino, you're not able to really be a help to your players in the match. And that is something in the middle of the match, that is something that is proving to be extremely important in terms of some of these players. Like, they're, whatever is happening on, I'm not gonna, calling them out, but the Finstock Exchange, whatever seems to be happening over there in the middle of the matches hasn't seemed to be playing to most of his players' favor. Like, it just seems
did you not think it was helpful when Dagnino during the Riley match was like, hey, COVID-19 is a hoax? Right. Did you not think that was a helpful thing to say?
A hoax set up, did you think that maybe to break down the exchange? Yes. Okay. So this is where I'm going. Yeah. So rather than like just talking to your guy, well, of course that was post game. We're not gonna get to semantics here. I don't need, any people scrapping at me about when exactly somebody said what. But John, screw it. Let's just get to it. Round 1. This is unbelievable play here to start this match. I mean, we're seeing consistency.
Absolutely. It's always nice to see. We see a lot of these first rounds 9-7, so it's not like a phenomena, but it is always nice to see because it is always that kind of thing where it's just like we're watching two people right now who really know their stuff, who are really going head to head, and it's always that just like one question that then gives the 2-point lead. It's one of those things where it's like if you give somebody an inch at this level of play, you kind of give them a mile. This was a great week for me as far as knowing the questions in round 1 that one of 2 players couldn't pull. It was a great week for me on that front and only that front. Liz was not able to pull the Kung Fu Panda question based off of the other animals who were voiced by, let me think, David Cross, Seth Rogen. Let me think. Seth Rogen was Mantis. Who was it that voiced Viper? I don't remember off the top of my head. But that was the question that she missed. Bibiani did hit that. He got the perfect round and the bonus point. So it was 9-7 coming out of round 1. Both players proving they know their stuff, but, there's always that thing where it's like at the end of each round, there's got to be a winner of each round. Even when a round winds up tied, there's always like there's one player who really tilted it that way. And round 1 was the Bibiani round.
Bibiani'd his way through it. I mean, we know the beast is consistent, and that's something that he seemingly takes pride in, Boggs. And when he wants to, like the great Mulan, he wants to bring honor to us all. And when he misses a question, you can tell it does kind of bring him out of the game. So, Leo in the chat with the Adam Collins correction, Viper was Lucy Liu. And the first Kung Fu Panda, we'll take a little sidebar. Very slept on movie. Let's just be clear. DreamWorks does a great job at starting franchises. Now, do we need 7 Ice Ages? Maybe not. But the first 3 on both sides of Kung Fu Panda, Ice Age, and Shrek, I think are all fantastic. DreamWorks kind of slept on, just saying. We get a lot of Pixar questions in the animation world. We really don't see a lot of DreamWorks questions.
I mean, before we give too much credit to Shrek the Third, let's make sure that we're giving credit to not only these players, but also their managers. I think it's one of those things where a lot of times the most we've been able to see managers shine is when they're helping players who've kind of been middling or have not always been considered some of the greats really elevated to the next game. And that's something that Winston especially has been a shining example of. And especially after this match, I got to be honest, I feel like he's got Manager of the Year in the bag, at least for me. I feel like Winston and Swag has that locked down, but more on that later. But one of the other things that is really nice to see is how much Coy has been able to help William advance his game as well. It's, again, that thing that we were talking about, similar to how William was clearly revitalized with Brendan Meyer. It's one of those things that just shows that, hey, sometimes change is good. And this was 2 great players who have both in different ways really kind of upped their games, even though both were already good in seasons prior. It was great to see.
And you got to wonder if it's one of those things where you get comfortable in a certain situation. Bibiani gets extremely comfortable in the team situation with Brendan there, gets used to a certain situation. I'm not going to say he definitely didn't have cakewalks of first 2 matches to get to this point. He was clearly tested with the Barbarian, one of the most hyped up matches of the entire year in terms of overall raw talent. But he gets to this round and probably not facing who he thought was going to be there. And Boggs, I just don't think this second round into the third round just kind of doesn't play to probably what Bibbs kind of, the energy that he wanted to be carrying. You can kind of see where the energy shifts.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously it happened after they both went and the scores were level going into round 3, but he's literally making audible huffing and puffing, and like you can hear him as kind of Mark's introducing round 3, writing the rules. You can hear him kind of huffing and puffing and sighing and being like kind of frustrated, whether that's kind of to be subtle or not. I mean, because clearly you're not being subtle, but similar to the way the kid does it, like you're audibly kind of frustrated, where I'm thinking, oh, that's the point that I thought, oh, is he in his head? Like, come on, you're not down, you're level. You're the kind of former champion going in, you're going to go second. It's, have that kind of where's the confidence gone? Because obviously with the confidence comes the banter, with the kind of jokes, with his, with his tiger puppet toy things, whatever. But yeah, they weren't coming, he stopped doing that kind of when the scores were equal. He saw the threat, and he was just, I'm sure that's where I've seen the change, where the kind of slight dip in confidence for Bibbs going into round 3. But yeah, just on round 2, obviously he's elected for Liz to go first. She span opponent's choice, and then he's picked sports movies, which I found that interesting. Like they kind of him and Coy discussed that there isn't many things on there that he felt confident with. I was a little bit surprised hearing that from Bibbs. And then she's done so good. I was so surprised. Like I just, for some reason, presumes like she wouldn't do so well in sports. Like, but no, she's done absolutely fantastic. Only going to multiple choice the once on the 3rd question. She even knew the team's name in Moneyball. Like,
that's
yeah, so
okay.
Like,
to be extremely fair, that movie was like, it's kind of like there's no other. If you know it, you know it. If you don't,
I've got no clue.
If you've seen the movie, you've seen the movie.
Okay, fine. But like, and that happens a lot. With kind of the just overall American sports movies. I don't remember the teams. I don't know. You can tell me any sports movie. I don't know any team. It was football, basketball, baseball. I don't know. Right. So for me,
you would know it if it's kind of like a Leicester City, like they go on their run and then they make a movie about the improbable season that made the run, and it's kind of like you remember it. So it's one of those things where it's like, oh, they made a movie about that team type deal. So it's like it
becomes like general knowledge,
right. Okay, like if you watch the sport, of the team. So it's not like they just pulled some random team out of nowhere.
Oh, because that's what it seems like to me as like a non-baseball fan.
It is my girlfriend's favorite team, so it is Guyane's favorite baseball team. So it is a little unfair. It's probably where a little more of the bias is from.
Yeah, fair enough overall. But yeah, it's really really solid round baseball. 2, and then obviously Bibbs has spun. Spinner's choice, and he's gone for horror after a slight debate. I really like that, by the way. That's the first time I've seen this season where a manager has said, hold on, wait, let's look at the whole wheel and see if there's anything better. Although obviously you like that, let's not jump the gun. Let's have a quick look at the wheel. We've got a minute. Is there anything else that you rather go for? Is anything else, that kind of thing. I've been wanting someone to do that all season on a kind of digital match, and no one's done that. So I was happy that they did do that. But yeah, a couple of, obviously, he's got multiple choice on his second one. But Colin, again, what you said, like another Resident Evil question in this horror category. And they've asked it, and I thought that's not horror. Like even though we've had that conversation last week, right? And the Underworld question again, I thought that's like an action movie, if anything. Yeah, I'd say it's like an action thriller or something, but not really a horror. So yeah,
if I can watch, that's it. If I can watch the movie, it's not a horror movie. That's
me as well.
Same.
Horror is not my strong point.
The last time I ever saw a horror movie,
biggest horror movies. Yeah,
I was trying to, and Guyane, you're watching this. Close your ears right now. I was trying to impress a girl in high school, and she was like, "I want to go see The Last Exorcism," and I was like, "Cool," and I was like, not able to sleep for like a week and a half.
Okay, yeah,
and that didn't, the girl didn't work, but like whatever. But The Last Exorcism didn't really work either. A lot of those people died. It was scary, but like that's a horror movie because I could barely watch that movie. I was
last week I didn't agree. This week I agree.
Yeah,
because for me I was like,
telling you, man,
I've had enough now.
It must be. The question writers must have like our same like thin skin. Like we are so thin skinned because they must be able to just sit through the same stuff where it's like, I wonder if we could get Scary Movie in as a horror movie next week. And I'll be like, no, you will not.
Yeah, I agree. But overall, yeah, I mean, solid round 2 for both. They both scored. Obviously, Liz got the steal as well. Liz has got the steal from the Underworld, and Bibbs going multiple choice then, and she's picked up that steal. But yeah, overall 15 all going into round 3 and super tense. Yeah.
So you get to round 3, John, and if you're Liz, it's the best case scenario. If you're Bibbs, it's kind of worst case scenario because you're able, if you're Bibbs, you can control what you can control. If you're Liz, you kind of put fate into Bibbs's hands, and fate dealt you a great card. Were you leaning with fate in this chance? Because it kind of seemed like the vibe kind of went to Liz kind of there at the end of the second round.
Absolutely. I mean, especially if you compare Bibiani's perfect game that he threw last time against the Barbarian, I'm sure he was coming into this really feeling himself, as he should. He's a good player. I'm not going to say that he was overconfident. But to go from a perfect game to then getting a perfect round 1, which is a great start, and then you go into round 2, you give your opponent's choice. You get Spinner's choice. And for that to end tied, like, yeah, that is the moment where it kind of starts to go like, ooh, okay. And especially with round 3, more so than any other round, I would argue, when you're going into round 3 and it's tied, that is truly anyone else's game. Like, obviously, you're going into round 1. Hey, let's get warmed up. Let's figure out what's going on. You're going into round 2. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Let's not be too hard on ourselves until we see what we get. Then it's round 3, though, and then it's like now it's really, truly up in the air about what kind of questions am I even going to get? What level of difficulty am I going to be able to have? Like, how many of each question do I need to get right? And especially after seeing what Liz was able to do with Chance, I bet William was really like, oh, this could be a loss. And it's sort of like what Boggs was saying. Like, that was a tough position to be in. No one likes losing for the most part. Some people do. But it was one of those things where that's a quick up and down from perfect game to uh-oh.
Well, I mean, take us through it. I mean, it's kind of, you know, it kind of takes all the wind out, you know, it takes all the air out of the room. If you're Bibbs, it's kind of one of those, you know, that went really well to really not well pretty quickly.
I mean, it was really hit after hit till the end, though. You know what I mean? Like, the reason that we got to the question that we did is because both competitors hit their 2-pointers. And then both competitors hit their 3-pointers. Liz Shannon Miller being a little bit too hard on herself when it comes to knowing movie release dates, because to be able to knock that question out as quickly as she did, having to pull 2 different movie franchise, like, late entry sequels, like, that is impressive. It's one of those things where I really think, like, it's again the sign of a good manager, Winston, being able to hype her up. She clearly is, like, still trying to feel herself in the way that I think William was when he was entering this match. She really knows her stuff. And she was able to knock that difficult question out of the park. And then it was just up to Bibiani, who got a side character actress in Grown Ups too.
Yep. That's the movie trivia schmodown. And to anyone, you know, there's not really too much to say about, you know, nailing a difficult movie release dates question, which is one of the more difficultly asked movie release dates questions we've seen in a long time. Leo in the chat coming in, knew it was Maria Bale. Oh, well, if only you were just the lifeline for Bibiani.
Yeah, excuse me, Mr. Fan, who's watched all of these live episodes, and we're very grateful for you.
The only thing I remember from Grown Ups is the Voss water. Is the kid of Adam Sandler's like, I need some Voss water at the restaurant, and they're like, we got tap. And
I watched 20 minutes of Grown Ups in the background of a party, and I have not chosen to return to it.
The basketball game at the end of Grown Ups 1 is pretty enjoyable, I will say.
Sure.
It's pretty funny if you want to, you know, just, you know, okay, so I'm the only one. All right, that's fine. We can move on from here. Obviously, Bibiani's going to take this, and there's a lot that he can do with this moment. Like, you got everything in the world behind you. You got a great team. You got a great partner. There's nothing other than it's just a 5-pointer. And sometimes the 5-pointer happens and it goes your way. Sometimes it goes their way. And when it goes their way, the only thing you can do is just pick yourself back up, move on to the next thing, move on to the next match. And it is what it is, man. That sometimes just is what it is, Bibbs. And, you know, that's how the Schmodown is going to Schmodown this week. But today, we got a match that I didn't realize I was as hyped for as I was, because I've been in the midst of moving and all this stuff this week. And honestly, I thought this match came out on Tuesday and for patrons, and I was late and I was behind and I was, you know, and then I was just coming up. But no, this match premiered today. Oh my gosh. Jeff Snyder playing against Mark Yodi Riley. Boggs has been the biggest Jeff Snyder fan on this show. Loves him. Loves him to death. Please come on the show. But goodness gracious, Boggs, this match, it delivered. It kind of delivered. This felt like some old schmo stuff.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, with Roxy and Gucci as well. Yeah, I quite like this promo. It's the best promo I've seen in probably a week or so. Just going at it and fully kind of, I was quite happy for Riley kind of going into the match, because, you know, in singles and teams, he is 4-1 this year. With all the criticism he takes, you know, all the kind of, you know, washed up player, etc. kind of criticism that he has to take, he's 4-1. You know, that's pretty good. So yeah, I was quite happy for him, but I think it's all about Schneider. That side of the bracket for me, start of the tournament, I've said Snyder. So let's see how far he goes. And I was super excited to watch him play. And it seems like it's in his control if he wins or loses. It's just a player in form, and it's the confidence going and stuff. But sorry, I just remembered something. Sorry, at the end of the Liz Shannon Miller Bibbs match, right? I watched the rundown when Liz last played. Remember, I don't know if you remember, I had an issue with the 5-pointer being a movie release dates question, and Frank done the numbers on that, and that is that against Chance, that's the first ever time a movie release dates question has been asked as a 5-pointer. It's been asked in the third round as a 2-pointer before. So obviously I've taken an issue with it being just what, in terms of what year was this movie released, pretty much was a question, right? And I thought that was a kind of a softball 5-pointer. But just to kind of set the record straight, that what she got this time, I thought absolutely fair question. That's how it should be. If you're going to do a 5-pointer, like a movie release dates question, do that. Don't do
Christian better say you got 20 seconds or I ain't buying it.
No, but that was a fire question. But yeah, this last time I had a major issue, and so did Frank, and he addressed it on the rundown. But I just remembered it now. But yeah, anyway, Schneider going in with Riley, super excited. This was my kind of match I was most looking forward to in this round, in the quarterfinal stage. So yeah, I was definitely going for Schneider going in, just on form.
And coming off the win from Oyama, gotta be feeling himself. You know, no way to not be.
Mm-hmm.
He tackled the hill, the personal hill that he probably was trying to climb the whole time, right? I mean, besides Irwin, there weren't a lot of other people that he really wanted to, get an edge on, maybe besides his own teammate on the other side of the bracket. And John, first round, he showed exactly why the Snyder man came to play.
Sure.
Snyder cut?
Sure.
Was this the Snyder cut? Is this round 3? The
that
Snyder cut?
Question means nothing. That is a nothing question. What do you mean? Yes, there's something called
this
the Snyder
tournament
cut.
is the Snyder cut. Yes,
that doesn't mean anything.
Yes.
No, do you know what this is? This tournament is proving that the women of the Schmodown are deserving of more respect. Looking at what both Perry and Liz Shannon Miller,
literally just taking out people they shouldn't take out. Like on it, they're just taking people out that everyone's just on a pure
Marisol
talent basis.
as well. Marisol McKee.
Yeah, Marisol McKee. Yes, also doing a great bang up job.
Dark horse for the teams tournament, like without a doubt. And so is Perry. So is what's their team name?
The Witching Power.
The Witching Power. Oh my gosh! Like what a
best name of the new teams.
Best name of the one best name of the new teams. 2, those 2 brains together can figure out anything. You've seen them on. We've seen this be a detriment to teams before, and I think this is something to be said. We've seen Bibiani and we've seen Whitney Seibold be former, prior to playing together, podcast partners. Same thing with Top 10 early on in the Schmodown. These 2 ladies with the Witching Hour and their podcast for Collider and the relationship they were able to build and still working together, that's something that has to be accounted for. And I'm big on chemistry when it comes to sports and stuff like that. That's a chemistry that can't be taught. Like Shannon can be a manager that puts together, Marisol and Adam Collins, but they don't have a history, right? They're going to have to build that chemistry within the ring. These are 2 players that have a history. These are 2 players that have that. And that's just, you just can't, you can't teach it. It's just one of those things that, comes along. It doesn't come along, naturally. You got to earn that.
Yeah. That's why I still miss Only Stupid Answers. They'll return one day. I know.
Yes.
But speaking of people that Jeff Snyder has beaten before.
Superhero news.
Mark Riley did, again, round 1 questions that I would have known this one time. This one time I would have known a Schmodown question. The Andy Samberg in Hot Rod question. Hot Rod's a classic, first and
foremost. My name is Rod. And I like to party.
There it is. There's the quote. I think it's a great movie. I'm sorry that Christian Didn't love it. I'm sorry.
Mark's
that
never seen it. That blew my. I feel like Mark Ellis would stupidly love Hot Rod. Like, there's no way that Mark could sit there with a 6-pack of Coors Light, crack them open, watch Hot Rod, and watch Andy Samberg do some stupid Evil Knievel shit for an hour and 35 minutes. There's
Well,
no
I'm not
way.
going to wish Coors Light on any man.
That's Mark's beverage of choice.
Yeah, he loves it.
He loves Coors Light.
Someone needs to talk to that poor man.
It's the best cheap beer. It's like, come on now.
Oh, that's not even close to true. What we're going to talk about, though, is round one. Again, even-keeled match. 9-7 coming out of round one with Jeff Snyder having the edge. Definitely it's one of those weird things where on the one hand, we've been seeing a little bit more of a focused, like serious Jeff Snyder in this tournament specifically. Someone who is a little bit more just kind of like, thank you, actually, like Roxy, for the advice that I needed. Let me actually focus, while also still being like, oh, animation. I guess I'm going to get this one wrong.
You mean I
Just
guess the
answer
order?
questions.
You mean I guess the order is the same order every time, and I'm just now figuring it out after my 17th match in the league?
Also, it's not even true. It's not even true that animation is always the last question. No, it's often a round one question.
It has been the last.
I think,
if
yeah,
it is,
the digital matches,
it is the last question for
Singing
this
single.
entire
It's like
season.
it is. Yeah.
It's been the last.
I don't know about that.
Run it back, John. There's a lot.
That's
of
why he's
matches you
worried.
want.
That's why he's worried about getting a perfect round, because
That's why he was worried about it. He knew it was
and
coming.
that's what it's not his strong point. So that's why he makes the scene of, oh, it's animation. Yeah.
Just study.
Guyane says, John, let's talk about beer.
Yeah, let's absolutely do it. Do you realize how inexpensive Sierra Nevada is? Mark Ellis lives
Not
out
in
here in
South
California,
Carolina. We
where
gotta pay the
Tecate is free and flowing. There's so many options. If your first beer of choice is a light beer, and you're not actively like, hey, I need to consume beer, but I also need to.
I hear you.
I'm so fired up. All right, listen, I have 4 decorations in my room, and one of them is a beer bottle. All right, I'm dedicated. All right. But yeah, this was a good round one.
It really was, because it's kind of gotten to the point where these rounds, I can't, it used to kind of be like a 9-7 was a wave that always rode the 9 side. And now 2 points is nothing these days. 2 points is a steal away, right? Like 2 points is kind of easily gettable, which it wasn't in the past. And yeah, exactly. And so if you got Mark Riley sitting on the other side of the ring, you're like, 2 points and shit. Like, he can come back and grab that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, both of these players seem to be rolling the dice. And Mark Riley seemingly rolls on one of those categories first box, rolls on that Will Smith, and is like, we've seen this a little too much, Chief. Run it back.
Yeah, well, to be fair, my favorite moment of round one was Gucci dropping a fake answer in the private chat, and obviously Schneider taking issue with it. The Aladdin question.
Finally, something Jeff and I agreed on. By the way, how about that?
Just,
what was his fake answer? What was it?
An American Tail. Yeah.
Which is like not even a funny. Yeah, that's just fully just putting answers in the chat.
Well, obviously, you know Schneider's going to see it, and he knows he's not good at animation, right? So he's thinking, it's worth a try. But yeah, I did appreciate the stupidity of it. But
that's his boy.
I like stupid things like that, to be honest. So
that's his boy. I always think that's one thing that's kind of like really slept on. Was Gucci really did not take a lot of time this week to be like, and who was his manager when he did all that stuff? There was a lot of stuff he didn't throw the shade he could have thrown. So, Gucci kind of played with half a hand this week.
Yeah, that respect's there. And they're, him, JT, they're legends, them three in that run. So, yeah. He's never going to.
Speak on that for a second, because there was some talk at the end of this match, specifically by Mark Ellis, saying how I think Jeff Snyder is a legend, like already in this game. Already he was 9-7 before this tournament. Spoiler alert, he's 12-7 now. And this guy's playing on a level that he's been on for a really long time. Like, this isn't some new thing we're seeing where somebody's coming along for the first time. He's been here for the last 4 years being this player and now proving he can do it without JTE.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's... Oh, you go ahead, Boggs.
No, I was just going to say, for me, he's always been a good singles player. He's always kind of been in the kind of number one contender bracket, or being a kind of tough player to kind of come a bit like a gatekeeper in a way, but a high-end gatekeeper. Like you have to be him. Yeah, basically to have a title shot or to, to kind of have a number one contender match. He's always been thereabouts. So I've always rated him personally. Plus the antics, plus the kind of humor, plus the personality, the challenges, the teams match. So he's got so many aspects to his game that I've always respected.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where when you talk about, the legends of the Schmoedown, and there's always this talk of like, who belongs on the Mount Rushmore? It's sort of like we talked about actually earlier in the season, how a lot of people don't mention Alex Damon in that kind of category when they talk about this stuff. But for the most part, when a lot of people talk about the Schmoedown legends and like who are the best of the best, they're really only talking about the same few names that kind of trade off the singles belt. That's kind of like the only metric that some people have for trying to judge who the legends are. Is just like, and that's why it's always people like who, don't get me wrong, are good, but it's why they're always talking about specifically like Dan Murrell, John Roca, and Sam Levine, because yes, they're definitely good players, but they're the ones who have been playing for the singles belt all the time. Whereas Jeff Snyder, his legacy is really in teams more than it is singles. Like, I don't think anyone's going to say that he's a bad teams player, but it's because he's not always been in like the title contention when it comes to the singles belt that I think a lot of people are just not even factoring him in.
And it's got to be said that there's a group of fans that don't really even know the Patriots. They're kind of like the Lakers and Celtics of the 80s. They're an idea. They're not something they saw. And you can mention the Patriots and their glory and everything they did, but they're not exactly as respected as they should be. And I will admit, I don't do a good job of that. I'm somebody that saw every single one of those championship matches that those guys went through, and I'm not the one sitting here pounding the drum like I should be, like the Shire Wolves, top 10, the original, the Schmoes team. These were the 4 teams that built the team's division. And then when corruption comes in here and just turns everything on its side, breaks up JTE and Snyder, the whole thing going on there. I mean, if you haven't watched The Decision, the whole episode of who JTE's partner is going to be, the birth of all of that, it's just, I mean, it's great Schmoedown stuff. Like, it's really, I mean, that's where the drama and stuff in the Schmoedown was born. It was Christian really getting his hand in the pot and just stirring everything up with the crew he knew he had. And now we've got to a point where, I mean, Jeff's a top 3 player kind of all time at this point. And if you don't think so, you just haven't watched the tape, because there's more times that Jeff pulled the Patriots out of a game than JTE. Like, way more. Like, it's a tiny percentage of times that JTE pulled out, a 3 or a 5 pointer that won them the match, that Snyder wasn't the overall influencing choice. So for this idea that Snyder is like having to prove himself, that I feel like is kind of been the message over the last couple of weeks, it's just not giving the man enough credit, guys. Like, we gotta put some credit on this man's name.
I just think maybe because the forgotten Patriots theme, I think it's come from, because straight after them has come like a little era for teams in terms of, because Patriots, were the best team. Obviously, there were good teams alongside them who they played and beat. But since then, obviously, pretty much came kind of Shire Wolves, Corruption, Founding Fathers, Who's the Boss, and the Odd Couple all together. So that's like a little era for teams. Like, that's like the strongest team era that we've had in the Schmoedown, like in terms of, kind of playing each other and wins and loss records, things like that. So I think because they've just come straight after that, straight before that, they're the kind of forgotten end of it, because, just like recency bias, right? And some of them teams are still going now. So I think that's why. But no, like, you have to kind of respect what they've done now. And I kind of wish they come back, but next year we'll see. But yeah, we've not actually spoke about round 2, right?
We have not spoken about round 2 yet. No.
Yeah, I was just going to say Riley missing that kind of first question. I guess the same answer in round 2. The interstellar question: who was Michael Caine's daughter? Yeah, I got that wrong, and obviously he's picked up that steal.
I said the same thing, but then I said Jessica Chastain. Like he was like, "Oh no, it's the Mandalorian director Ron Bryce Dallas Howard, of course,
because they were obviously in the movie. They're together a lot. You just kind of, for some reason, it's just like an automatic thing, isn't it? But yeah, easy mistake to make. And then he's got multiple choice a couple of times, and in the last question, he's obviously got the Inception Tom Hardy one. But yeah, that's at the end of Riley's go. It's only 11-11 basically, so it's equal. And then going into obviously round 2, he spun Festival Darlings. Obviously, super happy with that. But he's had to go multiple choice a couple. But even still, I mean, everything you get is a bonus now. Everything you get, Mark's playing catch up. So just overall strong round 2 for him. But yeah, just going obviously perfect in round 1 is got you the advantage going into round 2. And just obviously Riley not I don't know if it's maybe knocked his confidence or what, but I just thought he's done okay overall round 2. But yeah, going in 11-11 and your opponent hasn't even gone yet is a bit of a wounder. Yeah.
Am I right that it was the category of Christopher Nolan that gave JTE a super hard time when he went up against Liz Shannon Miller?
I don't remember the category off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Yep. No, because I had a very hard time remembering the last time the Nolan category was asked.
I got a feeling
I remember
Logan in the chat
specifically from that match, JTE, I believe, made a bit of a stink when he was like, I love Christopher Nolan, and I didn't know a single one of those questions because they were definitely some like tight pulls. And that is part of why, and I think Mark kind of knew that as well, because again, he's a guy who's been watching the game as well as, been playing it. He watches it as well. And I think that was kind of that thing where he was just like, ooh, boy. That's one of those categories similar to him spinning away from Will Smith. He knows it's come up enough times where it's just like, ooh, is it Ridley Scott? My mistake. I guess that makes more sense because, there was like the question that sticks in my mind about that is like, is the armor question, remember? Where it's like, what kind of animal was along the armor of like this?
Here, I found it. So the questions in the Ridley Scott category. In Gladiator, what animals are embossed on Maximus's chest plate armor? Wow, what an easy question that is. Which Game of Thrones actor played Friar Tuck in the Russell Crowe film Robin Hood? Obviously, JT.
I mean, that's the thing, though, when you're doing questions about very famous directors who, let's say, specifically direct movies that the Schmodown audience enjoys particularly, let's put it that way. Of course, it's going to be one of those things where, like, it comes up enough times that eventually those are the kinds of questions that get specifically harder and harder. So I think that was the Prometheus question, Riley,
and then he gets a Blade Runner question.
Sure. And I think that's the thing that Riley knew he was in trouble for, is because he's just a student of the game, and I think that kind of put him in his head. And I think that's why he took the 2-point jump with that, because he's like, I'm pretty sure I have it, and that's just the kind of thing to try and shoot for.
And it's hard because you just feel kind of off balance in a way when you feel so confident about something. That's one of those things that can be your downfall in this game, is your own ego. We've seen it so many times in this game before where somebody, how many times, like we just saw it in the last match. Spinner's choice and opponent's choice went the complete opposite way of the results. Frank Janish, show on up. Let me see that statistic. How many times has an opponent's and a spinner's choice, gone the opposite direction of the people who chose them? I feel like that's, this might be with a handful of times when that's happened in the league. And, for that to, come over here, and Riley just, he admits it, Boggs. He admits it that one question just kind of throws him off. It threw him off the whole groove, and he was never able to find himself.
Yeah, and then he's obviously playing catch up in round 3. Basically have to go hit your 2, 3, and 5 just straight after each other. Sneaky challenge there from Schneider. Yeah, so he's trying to cheat one. Roxy's dead, in agreement. So yeah, I was glad that wasn't upheld because that was just a pure cheap challenge. Yeah, he's obviously got his 2 and 3, but couldn't hit his 5. But yeah, overall, I mean, it's just Snyder just had that little bit of a lead, and obviously not. And yeah, just the round.
Was he taking a fake injury there with that challenge? Did he
something like that?
Did they
like,
really swipe at his ankle there on that slide tackle?
Yeah.
Or, it kind of felt like he didn't really need to do that. He just kind of did it to do it.
Yeah, just why not? Like, you're ahead, the pressure's on Riley.
Right.
Just throw a spanner in the works. Let's see what's happening. Try and throw him off. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a dirty tactic, but it's within their right to do. Like, Schneider's a bit of a dirty player, right? It's not. I'm sure he won't kind of shy away from that. Yeah, he's done all kinds of challenges on all kinds of matches, title matches, whatever. So just doing that, a silly challenge against Riley's not gonna phase him. He's got kind of that's just part of his gameplay, which I quite like, to be honest. But I thought the actual challenge was petty, but I do like the kind of having the overall kind of bottle just to kind of throw someone off, and I do appreciate that kind of sly aspects of gameplay. So now overall, I think much deserved winner, and I'm backing him to win this side of the bracket, whether it's Ethan Irwin or Tom. I'm definitely going for Riley to come out on top on the right side of the bracket.
I need to make a very bold statement before we bring our guest in. We'll kind of wrap up this side of the show. If Ethan Irwin beats Tom, I think Jeff Snyder walks his way through the final.
And I want a public apology from John then, if that happens.
And then if Tom,
public apology.
In no world.
But if Tom somehow finds a way to upset the former champ, I think Jeff Snyder will have a very hard time figuring out what is on the other side of the screen. Tom is on a roll right now, and people need to wake up that this is somebody that might be playing you all the way to the finals and making some people like me in my bracket look like a fool because I had him losing in the first round. So I don't like being wrong, and I was wrong. And now I've watched the guy, and he's kind of a master of disguise. And it's kind of like, yeah, this is what you're doing, but this is what I want you to do. Like, yeah, but this dude's kind of doing that on a different level. And he's got mind games out the wazoo. So I don't know if Schneider's quite ready for the new wave of mind games because he hasn't had to go up against it quite often. So, John, do you see Snyder getting to the final?
It's possible. Sure.
Of course it's possible.
Yeah. So there. Yeah, it could happen.
Bit more, John, bit more.
It not.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Is that what you wanted, you
that's
sickos?
Fair.
Is that what you wanted, you sick freaks? You just wanted me to say I still don't like the guy I don't like?
Yes.
You sick freaks.
I want you to walk into this hole, and I want you to stay there until next week, and we'll come find you after the match is over.
I mean, Snyder is right. He's gone very close to beating Ethan Irwin. And we've seen it before where calls I make are wrong, just generally, but then calls that everybody makes are wrong. This is a tournament. This is a year full of upsets. And that's not that huge of an upset that a really seasoned player beats another really seasoned player. I don't see it happening against Ethan Irwin because Ethan is one of my favorites and also has just been doing 2 super solid matches and is also the only player that Sam Levine really invests in. But that's neither here nor there. And then Tom is just a goof. Tom's a goof.
Well,
we don't need to hear from me. Let's hear from our guest, Tom.
Yeah, we
all know what I think.
We're goofs. The 3 of us are goofs. I know somebody who's not a goof because
bring a bit of class to the show.
Yeah, we need to class this place up a bit. And sorry for people who aren't. It's not 10 o'clock on the East Coast. It's not 1 o'clock. This is not mornings with the Outlaw. This is evenings with the Outlaw Nation. And joining us is our guest, Alex. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. Hey. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Oh,
all right. Thanks.
Yeah, this is the most exhausted you'd find us, probably.
There's a lot of bold opinions that are coming around here, and I appreciate some and not some others. So it's going to get interesting today.
Well, throw us around. What do you not appreciate? We take the bad before we take the good.
I wrote a list so far.
Yes!
So
receipts.
First of all, receipts. Okay, so for the first one, I don't appreciate the challenge of the dismissal of the complete challenge. For example, the movie The Boy is not the name of the sequel, Brahms The Boy. Now, if someone put down The Boy 2, I'm like, no, that is not the title of the movie. 100% challenge the question. The movie is called Brahms The Boy 2. That's 100% challengeable for sure. And now the effort as far as getting the challenge, sure, that's definitely a huge psychological aspect, but that's neither here or there. That's always up to the competitor. As a manager, I would be like, you know what, competitor, is this going to bog you if we don't challenge this? If it is going to bother you, let's just challenge it, get out of our system, and let's move on and get it. All right. Also, the whole Sam Levine thing, he only invests in one of his players, maybe because only one of his competitors is winning. Surprise. Oh, crazy. Ethan Irwin, I love Ethan Irwin. I really, really do. I'll get back to you here in a second. Don't you worry. Don't you worry, boo-boo. I got you. When it comes to Ethan Irwin, obviously he's one of the greatest competitors that we've seen. Does he deserve to be on Mount Rushmore? I don't know. But as far as he's one of the great competitors that isn't in the conversation of those that need to be on Mount Rushmore. He's also a competitor that's very vocally. He trains with his competitors, for his competitors. He trains with his manager on a regular basis. Tom, however, you're lucky if you get that guy on the phone. He's very vocally anti-training. He doesn't like to do research. And I love Tom. He's really great with distracting and doing the psychological aspects. But have you seen Ethan Irwin get messed around with? No, it doesn't end well for them. So as much as I love for Tom to really take him out, I just don't feel like it's realistically doable for him.
I would definitely agree with you there, Alex. It's one of those things where we're coming up with two people who really play this game more for fun, I think, than anything else, with both Ethan and Tom.
Yeah. Now, that's not to say he's not a great competitor. He is absolutely a wonderful competitor. Tom, he's by far one of my favorite Schmodown personalities. I just know realistically, he doesn't take the game of Schmodown as seriously as other competitors.
Ooh, see, that's kind of where, because I think he does because of the way he's been able to play the character and the player at the same time on a level we have not quite seen this season to come to fruition. It's been almost successful.
Like he's an actor. Crazy.
But he's an actor that's acting the part and playing the player at the same time, which is also a really hard thing to do.
And on this podcast, he's numerously said, and many a time, and I've heard from several competitors that they're like, yeah, he's really all about it. He loves having fun with it, but he doesn't actively care if he wins or loses. He's like, I don't care enough to actively participate. I mean, sure, I may watch a match or two of research, but like, I know what I know, but I'm not going to actively study on my opponent's strengths and weaknesses. That's just not that kind of competitor he is. He says that numerous times on his own podcast.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's his prerogative. No one here is going to feel like
there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, Tom,
absolutely nothing wrong with that. Like, you just gotta keep that in mind. If that's your mindset when it comes to Schmodown, awesome, fine, love that, good for you. But you're not gonna walk away with any belts for the season.
And that's part of why Tom versus Ethan Irwin is one of my most anticipated matches of this point in the season. Because A, it's going to be a match where we know these are two guys that can just relax and still be top tier like competitors. And it's also going to be so fun. I'm already thinking about the number of jokes Tom is probably writing just to have fun with about the little Ethan Irwin action figure, because we know that is still going to be in the background.
Am I playing Big Ethan or Little Ethan?
Well, you say that. because you said that, man, that's really going to fuck me up for the rest of this entire match. He called me Little Ethan. Man, I'm done for, guys.
I'm a big guy that's been called big my whole life.
That's going to mess with me. I don't think I'll get my 5-pointer.
Ethan's going to have so much fun.
I can't get it. This is a guy that works with, big time actors and directors such as Christopher Nolan, Guy Ritchie. And he hears from, all these people that have really big personalities that are aggressively in his face trying to fuck him up. And Ethan Irwin, he handles it with a grain of salt and he's like, so get over it. because that's who he is. He's had that kind of stamina as a behind the scenes guy where he's just like, he doesn't take shit, okay? And he's just gonna be like, there's nothing you can say or do to really mess with me. It's just who he is.
I can't believe we haven't brought this up yet, but also Ethan and Tom have played before in the Looney Bin versus Time Machine. Another one of my personal just favorite matches because, again, it's good knowledge, but also a fun bunch of characters. And that's another thing where it's like you saw those two go at it. Tom was very much doing his thing, and Ethan was very much not phased. And then Ethan wound up losing because of the questions that he got. Like, it's going to be one of those things where it really does just come down to knowledge. I don't think the 4D chess of whatever we think Tom may or may not be doing. I think ultimately it's just going to be two guys having fun.
I definitely agree with you to a certain extent, but I don't think they lost that match because of Ethan. I do think that, sure, he didn't know that 5-pointer at the time for that match. It was a great match. I do agree with you, but that's because as a team, they weren't as efficient. Let's face it. I love, the Time Machine, but, Janine, I love her. She's very hit and miss when it comes to her answers. I mean, look at her record. I say that with love because she's one of my favorite competitors of all time. But Ethan, them together, when they were good, they were great. When they were bad,
you got to run 3 bases. You have to run 3 bases to get all the way home.
This is something I've been very vocal about, Alex, so I'd love to know your thoughts. What do you think about the team of Ethan Irwin and Andrew Guy being formed for this team tournament instead of going with Time Machine?
I say this as a member of the Action Army, and I say this as a devotee of Andrew Guy, our Lord and Savior, Andrew Guy. What's up, Andrew? What's up? He's very vocal about it. He's not going to be competing in singles next season. So he's definitely a competitor that's going to be drafted next season. That, he's not going to be in the first or second, thing. He's going to be probably like 4th, maybe 5th, because he's only going to be playing in teams. And
he'll be proud of it. You hear that, Roka? He'll be proud of it.
I say, that combination, I think it's definitely a solid combination. I do think it would have been perhaps wiser to use to kind of go back to the Time Machine, because I do think that both Ethan and Janine would have been better because their strengths and weaknesses are definitely much more aligned. But also, Andrew, he's a lot of character, not as much substance. And again, I say that as a member of the Action Army that loves him to death. He has like a lot of weaknesses, and he definitely studies. He's actively trains and everything very regularly, but we haven't really seen that competitor in a long time. A big competitor that we can really, that we can really get a lot of competitiveness from.
Absolutely. So, I'm with you 100% on that.
So, and it's again, if it's good, it's gonna be wonderful. If it's gonna be bad, it's gonna crash and fucking burn.
Absolutely. It seems to me like this is one of the this is just set up for absolute disaster. Boggs, is this the movie 2012 that comes out in the movie 2010? In the year 2010?
Yeah, maybe. But I think Guy brings that X factor to the unpredictability. First of all, what characters he bringing?
He beat Dan Burrell, like for the last time. The guy beat Dan Burrell.
It's really a motherfucker.
Like he.
Wait, are we allowed to cuss on here?
No, not really. No.
Oh, sorry.
We don't. We don't. But we're not gonna tell our guests what to do. But no, obviously, if you want to, too late now.
I haven't been fired yet, so that's something.
Yeah, but no, he's definitely got that X factor, because like you can see on the kind of left side of that team's situation that Founding Fathers are the favorites there. But on the right side, there is that obviously you've got the odd couple there, but just overall kind of guys that are only unpredictable, kind of what he can do with Ethan. I for some reason that just stands out for me. So I am kind of looking forward to that. But Alex, can I just ask you, you do a lot of these, a lot of shows in general, right? The obviously the Smurf stuff, the call to action stuff, the mornings with the Outlaw, the things with Video Drew that you do as well. What do you like doing more? Is it the kind of movie review breakdown stuff, or is it the Smurf stuff in particular? Because obviously you're kind of multi-talented.
I don't know. That's a good question. I definitely love talk about movies and everything pretty consistently. Thing is, because I don't really get to do it very much. I'm very I definitely who didn't grow up with movies, but I never actually became an active movie fan until I started watching Schmodown.
Okay.
And I've been watching Schmodown for about 4 years now, but I didn't actively start being like, you know what, hey, I know that. I haven't seen that movie. Maybe I should check out that movie kind of thing. I didn't start to challenge myself to watch movies outside my wheelhouse until maybe a year ago. So like this is the first Halloween where I'm actually trying to watch horror movies, things like that. And so I'm definitely, I think as a result, I'm excited to talk about movies and everything very consistently, but I love talking about Schmodown, like actively. I talk about Schmodown every day. I am like in bed with my husband at 3 a.m. and chances are we're talking about anything, we're talking about Schmodown. So, it's just definitely, it's a big topic in my life.
No, that's cool. I love the passion so much, but I just recently seen you on a lot of these other shows, and I think, oh, you've got such a kind of natural way, with John and doing the movie review stuff and the news stuff, and I think, oh, it's definitely more. I thought maybe you were kind of directing yourself more that way, but obviously with I watched your free for all stuff. The is it the Generals free for all kind of show that you've done? Yeah, that was a long one.
That was 5 hours. A long time of questions.
Because you stayed on the whole time, right, as well?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it was because I wrote all the questions. I wrote over 350 questions preparing for that because I didn't know just what to expect. Okay. I just it's easy for me to whip out like 50 questions over a day. If I'm like, I have nothing to do and I'm marathoning, I don't know, Meryl Streep movies or something, I watch like 3 in a day. I'll just whip out like 50 questions. That's not a big deal to me, but it's a process of getting them all, making sure they're consistently like 1, maybe a 2-pointer slipped in there, but everything is very surface level. And it was just fun to, hang out with a bunch of friends and do that.
Yeah, we need you to call a match, right? I think Danny done one. When are you going to do yours?
I doubt that's never gonna happen. Realistically, no. I would love it. I think I would cry. I think it would be the most amazing opportunity ever. But I just know realistically, like I don't think that's ever gonna happen for me personally.
I just want to guest announce some competitors. I think that's like my only thing. I idolize like those UFC boxing announcers from back in the day, and I know Christian does too, because I can tell that's where he gets his draw. He draws from them, and it's just like you're either all in on asking questions, or like, oh, I just want to call their names out one time and just let them know, like, oh, just show all that passion. But we can. It's so great to see, just somebody else that just loves this stuff as much as we do, and it's great. It's just so great. And for you, has it been? Is it kind of? For me, I mean, we've had John Rocco on the show one time, and you get to talk with him every day. So was there kind of like a breaking in period where you just had to just like talk to somebody on the other side of the screen that wasn't somebody you followed, religiously through a show forever?
It probably came down, what kind of really broke down the wall, me and these other people, was actually meeting them. Right. The importance of attending a live event, especially as a reactor. And I hate to, I know that sounds almost, it sounds very classist when I say it like that. You have to do this in order to succeed. Like that's not true, especially now more than ever when everything's virtual, obviously, more than ever before. But, actually meeting these people and, forming like actual relationships, like I consider Rachel Silvestrini one of my best friends. I talk to her like every day, like actively every single day. She taught me how to cook vegan food. I don't cook, but she forced me to cook vegan food. So now I actually occasionally, I have like 1, 2 days, 3 days a week where I actually unintentionally cook vegan food. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is vegan. It just so happens to be delicious. That and the thing is like with some of it was so awesome to actually have these relationships with people. Like I never expected to have like a genuine relationship or connection with like Eric Zipper. Eric is by far one of my favorite people now. He's so cool. But but we never really had that until we just casually just sat down drunk, just like right outside the bar being like, ugh. what are you doing? So it was really cool to have that kind of experience, behind the curtain, so to speak, at these events.
What about tell us your best backstage story that you've had at a live event?
That's safe for the airways. I mean, we don't want to get anybody in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, like, a PC one, or just something memorable, or something like something that we don't know because obviously.
I don't know. Well, let's see. I had a really cool dance off. Every time I go to a live event, I actually have a dance off with Chandru. And so there's actually videos of us having like a good 5-minute long dance off at different events. So that's pretty cool. And he's obviously a fantastic dancer, and I am a horrible dancer. So it just makes it that much more apparent because I'm just like. It's just like that for 5 minutes straight, but it's like something only him and I do together. Like he doesn't. Whenever I see him at the bar or the event or anything, in LA, he literally he called my name, and we were maybe 20 feet away from each other because I was in line to go see Mara and Dan or something, and he was 20, 30 feet away, and he just started dancing towards me. And I was like, yes. I can't believe we have this relationship. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, we're jealous because Chandru's been on the show as well, so I can imagine I can imagine that he's just got that vibe, hasn't he? That you just get along with it and things like that. So, as well. Obviously, are you? I think you've addressed it before, but are you originally Thai? Is that right?
Yes, I'm Thai. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is that your mom and your dad, or is it one?
My mom is Thai. My mom moved to the US when she was 10, 11, 12 years old, preteen, from a small village in northern Thailand. She was born in Bangkok. My grandma, full-blown Bangkok. I grew up in an Asian household, for a long time as a military brat. Mm-hmm. Nice. And my dad's clearly very white.
No, I just wanted to make sure you were mixed because I could kind of tell. But we don't see too many kind of Asian, especially Thai people in the kind of Schmodown just kind of community. So it's nice. Obviously, you're representing yourself. You like to mention it, and I appreciate that. Just as obviously minority as well, so that you're kind of representing where you come from. So I definitely appreciate that. I just wanted to give you a shout out for that.
Where are you living? Or are you English or? Yeah,
yes,
English?
I'm in the UK. Yeah, so I'm in a place. It's right next to Nottingham, so that's in the middle of the UK.
I was in Nottingham last year.
Oh, you've been? Okay.
Yeah.
Why did you go to Nottingham?
When my husband and I got married last summer, we went to Dublin, Edinburgh, and London for our honeymoon, but we stopped by Nottingham because in Nottingham they have the big Warhammer museum thing. There's this huge Warhammer headquarters, international headquarters there.
Yeah. You mean for Warhammer 40K? Warhammer?
Yeah. It's that's where it's there. Yeah, it's based there in Nottingham.
It is,
and so my husband, we ended up taking a train.
Did you just paint figurines all day?
It's huge. I've never been in.
No, it's a massive warehouse. There's it's a huge warehouse. There's a museum, so you can take tours. But there's a huge store. There's a really good restaurant. The food there is actually really nice. There's a nice like shop area where you can just paint figurines or play. They have tournaments and stuff. It's but my husband, he loved it. We took a whole bunch of pictures, and he was completely nerding out over this. Hey, see that?
Okay.
I made that. It's just a whole bunch of stuff. So, but Nottingham's really cool. I love Nottingham. It's really fun.
Oh, okay, nice that you've been. Yeah. So I live just outside, about 10 miles out. But yeah, I'm from there. Yeah. So, yeah. I've obviously not had the chance to go to live events. I'm not as lucky as you. But I did. Well, I actually bought tickets to a top 10 show when John and
when they were in
came to London. Yeah. I didn't end up going. I had a family emergency, but. I'm super jealous of you guys.
Yeah. Well, the episode was English Royals on screen or something like that, right? Oh, jealous. But that
Who was the top? What's the top answer?
I don't remember. No,
I doubt it was Kate Blanchett as Elizabeth or something. It couldn't have been that.
Colin Firth in that one movie where
The King's
he's some
Speech. Oh,
King's Speech?
don't.
no,
Don't.
the one where he's Amanda Bynes' dad.
What a Girl Wants. He's not a king in that.
Let's go.
That's not a royal. He's a duke. Okay.
He's got a title.
That doesn't matter. The title of the episode live event was English Royals.
Oh, okay.
He was not royal.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I thought that was a pretty deep cut. It was all right.
Is Mr. Bean a royal?
No.
Damn.
Definitely not.
I love Mr. Bean though. Oh my gosh.
Man.
Blackadder is so good as well. Oh. Dude.
I just remember being told I looked like him all the time in middle school because people were right. It's a little bit harder to tell now because I have the beard and I'm bald, but fully just imagine the hair flipped around. You can see it.
Do you have like a mole in the right place or something?
I don't remember what my face looks like.
I don't either, dude. I haven't
That's
seen
fair.
the bottom of my face in like 4 years. People told me I looked like Adam from Workaholics all through college, and I was like, I'll grow a beard faster than you could say grow.
Well, what I just was. Oh,
I was gonna say I'm very. I would say unlike you guys, I shave actually every few days.
Every day? Is it? Yeah, it seems like
No,
you gotta
I know,
keep
but-
that pretty clean cut.
No, I think it's. I would say I do actually shave every few days my face. Legitimately, I do. I actually have a special razor to do it, but just because I have very normal. I have actually eczema, and so I have very dry skin, and so
I'm
gotta
with you.
I gotta exfoliate on the reg. Okay.
Sure. That makes sense. Yeah. I was going to say one thing that I did just see the bottom half of is our chat with our producer who wanted to make sure that we also asked you about the match between Liz Shannon Miller and William the Beast Bibiani. Just any thoughts you had on that match?
Did you see that 5-pointer? Jesus. Fudge.
Yeah.
That fucking question.
Which one? They were both like all-time 5-pointers.
No, absolutely. This one and also the Miles Forman question that Riley had asked. I knew that, thankfully, but that's because I only saw Heartburn for the first time recently when I was doing a little Meryl Streep marathon situation personally. But that's the only reason why I knew it.
MSM, we all do it. We all do it.
It's obviously Meryl Streep, but yeah, that was a great one. But yeah, it's like, but also that's definitely, if we're talking about some of the, because we all know that movie release dates, it's already like a very difficult, now especially a very hard category to ace because it includes all genres, all decades. They're not going to go into classics, obviously, but it's incredibly difficult to do. It's a very risky now more than ever, just because, they kind of, especially after earlier this year, how they talked about how the movie release dates is different, like the movie 1917. It won Oscars for 2020 for movies released in 2019. However, the movie wasn't released in 2019. It was released in 2020 in January, nationwide. Thing is, it was on the festival circuit starting in early December. So it's really kind of wishy-washy. So it can be very, very risky when you think of it that way. But somehow she made it a strength, and her getting in under 15 seconds, both Order of the Phoenix and at World's End.
What a summer. If you remember that summer, what a summer.
Did she sell her soul to get those answers?
To Davy Jones.
What?
To Davy Jones for sure.
Yeah.
She's on the Flying Dutchman right now because that was an unbelievable pull.
Oh gosh, I couldn't.
Boggs was talking about it earlier. Just then Bibbs was kind of visually taken out of the match even before then because she gets steals in round 2. Then
only one.
Right.
Only one
gets the
1
steal.
point, yeah, 1 point steal.
Brings it back, and it's tied going into round 3.
But it was the whole opponents and spinners.
Right. It's then
that
going
going
equally, right? Like how many times has an opponent's choice spinner won against a spinner's choice spinner? I mean, it's got to be, within 5 times. It can't be, a thing that happens all the time. And Bibbs was visually like, he was, just kind of, you could hear it. And it's unfortunate, some people's mics are a bit more sensitive than others, but you could kind of tell he was a bit more taken out of the match. And perfect to get it within 15 seconds is bullet that has to be like boom right in the knee. I can't walk now. But I could still answer the question, but I can't walk out of here.
Well, it spun in his favor, though. We have to remember that. So honestly, he had no reason to feel that way until at least mid-third round, because he got spinner's choice, she got opponent's choice, and we can talk 9 day about how often that happens, like calling paging Megs, what's up, girl. But it's we have to remember those are slices that are, no matter what, outside of belt matches, they are on the wheel no matter what. Therefore, it is just statistically much more likely for that to happen. Now, I kind of wish we didn't have them on the wheel all together as much, but that's just me. Yeah, but he played a fantastic match. He had a perfect first round, including the bonus question. He had all the questions right in the second round, outside of a one-pointer question, which went to multiple choice on Underworld Awakenings. Like, no one outside of me and Ace Cabrera know that movie. So, that's really funny.
Do you even think that's horror?
Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of been the talk over the last week on this show. It's been the talk of the show is that there have been so many questions over the last
action
2
horror.
months. Okay, but when we say horror thriller, right? Yeah. Is that not if it's horror or thriller? And it seems to kind of be like if it's a horror thriller first rounder, it also falls in that category. If it's a horror question, it also falls in that category. It seems to be that, like, if you're asking a horror question,
it's not scary enough. Basically.
It's not. That's what I'm saying. I'm a bit.
One, that's incredibly
subjective. I'm a bit thin-skinned. If I can watch it, I don't feel as if it's a horror movie. I'm scared of movies like
Resident Evil.
Resident
Evil, Underworld. Like these are not
scary. Like a vampire movie. We can put it in with Twilight.
So if we're gonna talk about that, there's different genres when it comes to horror. Like, by definition, we like the movie Creed 1 and 2 were mentioned. One was like, what star, an MCU star was in Creed 2, 1 and 2? The answer was Tessa Thompson. They were not listed as sports movies. They were technically listed under dramas. Now, we can talk all day and night about whether it was more of a sports drama, sports movie, or a drama movie. It doesn't matter. It was a fusion of both. Now, that movie in particular, when it comes to Underworld, it is both a horror movie and an action movie. It is horror by definition. Is it meant to scare you? Sure, in some aspects. It has literally vampires, werewolves, and demons. Therefore, by definition, it is a horror movie. Now, even a lot of directors such as Catherine Hardwicke, as well as Bill Condon, would also consider Twilight films has a lot of horrifying aspects. Do they consider it horror movies? But they consider them to have a lot of horrifying aspects. Yes.
You mean like
the only scary movie that I think they need to ask questions about is Scooby-Doo 2: Monsters Unleashed.
It's a scary movie.
No, that movie
horror with animals. That's animal body horror.
I consider, let's say, that's a really, really great question. I actually consider that family horror. Such as family horror movies, such as Paranorman, Haunted House, the one with Eddie Murphy, Haunted Mansion, Addams Family Values,
Edward Scissorhands,
sure, Addams Family. Those are 100% family horror movies.
So then I might say that maybe like Resident Evil might fall more into the video game category. Resident Evil started as a video.
It's also a horror movie.
That's also okay. So then it's also a horror. Okay. Then maybe we should just put Resident Evil category.
Do you think Creed should not be in the discussion of dramas?
It's everything. It just seems like the movie fits whatever the category lets it to fit. It allows it to fit. It seems like
sure. Do you think if it was put in a different category, would it change anything?
Maybe if we took all the Resident Evil categories and put them in the video game category and just left the Underworld movies. We can't
that's not even really a category.
I think it does, Alex.
Willingly.
I think it does answer your question.
Stupid questions about those.
No,
categories.
Absolutely.
I ask the smart questions about those movies, not what the name of the movie is.
No, absolutely. I definitely agree with you there. Thing is, it is a very legitimate slice. It's not on the wheel nearly enough, and I'm a little distraught about that. I do wish video game movies was on the wheel, but never is, unfortunately. Thing is, they are movies with horrifying aspects. You can go under any IMDb movie. Movies, 90% of the time, have at least 2 categories. Now, you can debate all night and day about which one it is more relevant as. Is The Muppets considered more fantasy, or are they considered more family? Who the heck cares? It's a family fantasy movie. And same with this one. It is a horror action movie. That's the way it is.
Next week on the
My
docket,
very
we have
nature.
Ethan Irwin versus Tom. I didn't even try to do a segment on that one. I just see Sean in the chat like, guys, please. So we do have Ethan Irwin versus Tom, and then we also have Brendan Meyer versus Adam Collins, standout of the season. Alex, what are you thinking for these 2 matches coming up? Do you think that one of the perhaps winners of those 2 matches could be the one that takes this tournament? Who do you have your eyes on for these 2 matches?
Well, to be completely honest, we were talking about who our final 2 people we think, based off the 8 competitors that was in the thing so far, could be the final 2. And my guess was honestly Bibbs and Ethan. And so obviously that's not happening. I still think that Ethan is personally, I do think he is going to win against Tom personally. I would love Tom to win though. I mean, you never know. I love me an upset. I love upsets when that happens. It's
Tom
so good.
is in this game.
I don't think it's going to happen. Absolutely. I mean, he's not
floor,
Tom Cruise
wherever
though.
he plays from.
Yeah, he'll roll on the floor with excitement. Whatever. He'll dig up bodies in excitement. Yeah. But if, upsets and everything aside, my gut tells me that Ethan Irwin has it. Again, I don't think the psychological aspect with Tom is really going to mess with him. I don't think that's something I'm sure he'll try to do it. I don't think he'll succeed. I also think that I love Kate Mulligan. I think this is her first season and it shows though. And she's made that there have been a few mistakes that she's made as a manager, unfortunately, that Tom, there's been a handful of challenges that he wanted to issue, but Kate wasn't there to issue them because she was doing something else. Maybe she got distracted, whatever it may be.
Do you think she should mention that mid-match? And this is just from a spectator standpoint, right? She does it. She does it mid-match. And I don't know if that's kind of the best strategical thing for you to do to kind of show your mistake if you don't necessarily need to.
I do think that it's neither here or there. It's it's just more to steer the conversation because Kate, she's very self-critical.
Right.
100%. She is very vocal. She's like, hey, I effed up. I recognize that. That's my fault. Do not steer the conversation about how Tom didn't know better because I effed up. As a manager, that was my fault, not his. Don't talk bad about my competitor because something I did, and I respect that. As a manager.
That definitely takes a lot. 100%.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, especially in the match, during the match itself, should she have done it? I don't know what I would have done personally. I just know that maybe in her mind that she knows that Tom, maybe he was low-key angry that Kate didn't issue it. And she maybe that was. And by her saying that in the middle of the match, again, it steers a conversation that she knows is going to happen in the chat. And she's trying to steer it in a different direction that she can control. So as a manager, I definitely think that's smart. Now, but again, it's her first year as a manager. It shows, and I think that, and I don't think that it's great for Tom overall because he is going to need all the help he can get going up against someone like Ethan, where she is going to need to be ready with those challenges at a moment's notice if needed.
Right, and you kind of want to see almost more of a player's coach kind of takeover mentality of Tom, where Kate's one of the very few managers that hasn't competed in the game, right? At least in terms of a scale of some of her constituents in the managerial game, to where those instincts in terms of when the right moment to call something isn't quite there. And we've said this before, there's different levels of tiers of managers where they rank different ways. Like Sam Levine is a very unique situation with a player where Sam can provide a very unique, insight on a moment within a match that maybe Coy or maybe somebody on the level of Kate can't quite, give a player. Yeah. Kate might have to learn to check out to Tom and to let Tom just kind of take the lead on certain things. And I think that's something that she's going to slowly learn, because she does have a stable of players that are ready to make a name for themselves. And Tom is someone that I think is kind of, I'm gonna ride this Tom train. Y'all were kind of pushing back on this Tom train, but I bought a ticket, and I think I'm gonna ride this Pelham, 1, 2, 3 all the way in.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely respect that opinion 100%. There's no reason not to. Obviously, people are allowed to be wrong 100%. It just comes down to, as well, realistically, also having a manager, someone like Sam, he's a really great manager. I think he's fantastic. However, that doesn't mean he's going to succeed. We've seen him incorrectly, issue challenges that are wrong. And so just like Kate's not perfect, Sam isn't either. Just because he's been double belted, it doesn't mean he's going to succeed as a manager. And also, I mean, look at Winston. He did horrible as a competitor, but oh my gosh, is he succeeding as a manager? Same as Coy, who is like, what, 0-3, 0-4 or something like that. So it's, success or even competing in Schmodown, I don't think is the deal breaker when it comes to success as a manager or recognizing the necessary skills. Because
then showing that on the complete other side of the bracket.
Look at Roxy.
Right.
Look at Roxy. Well, look at Roxy. 100%. She's never competed. She actively says, I will never, ever compete unless it's for charity. And, and I think that if that's something I do give her credit for, her and Gucci as well, is that when it comes to challenges, Kaiser, not as well. He's not as successful. When it comes to challenges, they know what to say very, very well. It doesn't come down to, is it yes? Is the answer yes or no, right or wrong? The answer is challengeable because it's somewhere in the middle. And so being able to recognize that gray zone and recognize, is it technically more or less right? Because, remember there was a Star Wars match, Star Wars tournament where both answers were right. It just came down to which is technically more right. And so as a manager, you have to be able to recognize those much more efficiently than right or wrong like Kaiser does.
Absolutely. And then again, speaking a little bit more about these managers and these factions and what we've been able to see folks do, we also have the teams
I gotta
tournament.
check the door real quick. I'll be
Go check the door, buddy. Go for it. Have fun with that door. Oh, he left. I didn't realize that was going to happen. I thought we were just going to watch his chair sit there and look at his Funkos. But yeah, the teams tournament also coming up. Alex, do you have a favorite team? Looking at who's been announced and what the bracket situation is?
I feel like realistically, the Fountain Fathers are definitely a shoe-in for sure. I don't want them to win, to be honest, though. I would love it. I would love, again, a surprise. I'm all about the upsets. I would love it if Eric and Adam really succeeded.
For sure.
The Witching Hour.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, the Witching Hour. We love the Witching Hour here. Easily best name of the new teams, right?
Yeah, I mean it's been around for a while. I loved listening to their podcast. I don't think they're gonna do well long term. I just love an upset. So their strengths and weaknesses align too much. I feel like for them to really be efficient long term, but you never know. Things can change. Both Perry and Haley are strategizing and studying and everything, so we can be surprised.
And absolutely,
sorry. I was gonna say, is that because of Eric? Is that why you want them to do well? Eric Zipper, as in?
No, I've actually wanted him to succeed. I think, okay, so the moment I think that kind of like changed for me, my perception of him is, I remember like when I said earlier, I didn't really think about him all that much until I remember we were like both drunk.
Yeah.
In LA, like but we ended up like sitting down for like 2.5 hours just chatting about Schmodown, and he was like, yeah, everyone looks at me at this IG guy and that's cool and all, but none of my favorite movies are IG based. They're not superhero movies or anything like that. I love talking about regular movies, horror movies, dramas, and courtroom dramas, all that good stuff. And people don't really realize that. And so what he wants to that's what something he's been focusing on is in singles and teams more than anything. And but he actively studies. He dedicates like two or 3 days a week to studying like at least 3 hours a piece. And he watches like a new movie every other day, from what I've been told. And I've been on a handful of study sessions with him, and I'm like watching his mind work, and I'm like, oh shit. It's nuts, especially him and the way he team works with Adam is really amazing to see. So seeing him go from a very casual competitor to someone that's in love with Schmodown the way he is like really turned it around for me. And so I hope he succeeds in the team tournament.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
Oh, please.
Colin, how was the door?
Oh, the door was fine. The door just needed to make sure it would stop being so loud.
Oh, sure. So you guys squashed your beef, though?
Yeah, everything's fine.
All right, cool. Great.
Yeah. Me and the door are good. We're busy keeping people out. But, guys, this is just, we've kind of talked all the Schmodown. I mean, we can just kind of do, let's just, how is everybody? We're kind of, everything's just kind of going and going. I know this has kind of been the most exhausting week. I just moved apartments down 3 floors, up 3 floors. Boggs has been exhausted. John's been exhausted. Is everybody doing okay?
I love this. Let's just say that right off the bat. I love this little check-in with the gang.
Why not?
Yeah.
I've got I'll tell you, Alex, the funniest thing that I've seen you on was it was on Mornings with the Outlaw. I think it was like your 3rd or 4th episode, right? Where you had a haircut. So obviously I think your hair was like really long, right? And then you've cut it to like here, right? And it's it's obvious, it's noticeable, right? And Roku's kind of done the show without noticing you look completely different, right? He's gone onto the shows, whatever, and he started reading the super chats, right? And the super chat said, "Oh, Alex, your hair looks really nice. Congrats on getting the haircut." And he's like, "Oh, Alex, have you got your haircut?" And it's like 20 minutes into the show, and he's had no idea. And and then you're like, "Oh yeah, I've had my haircut. Do you not notice, John?" He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't notice." I just find it so funny because you look completely different, and it was like the most obvious thing. And I just find it so funny. Like obviously, John being just John, he just didn't notice and too busy with the show. I just thought, that's just a typical guy thing. Like he just didn't notice it, and I just thought, because it's gone from like here to here, right? So it's just I just find it funny. That's all.
I'm all about those dramatic haircuts. What can I say? John is like John, when he it's really kind of funny. When he's in the zone, he's like he hyper focuses, and I'm sure as you guys know, and he's not really distracted or anything. He's not focusing on me at all. He focuses on things I say and everything.
I assume you have like an outline, like a Google Doc that you guys are following. He may not have the StreamYard open if it's just your face. He might be following something else, producing the show. I can imagine that he may not be.
Well, no, not really. He's like really on top of it. There are on some cases where he messages, he's like, "Hey, can you take over this combo while I kind of do?" And so that's how sometimes you notice I do like rants for like a good 2 minutes.
All right, yeah.
because he would like he was like, "Hey Alex, take over for like 2-3 minutes while I research the story," because we
private chat's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, private chat, because we might have a breaking story. Let me just double check. And so I'll be like, and I just do my thing for like those 3 minutes.
Well, because what time do you go live local time for you? I mean, I assume that's 7 o'clock, right?
Louis. No, I live in St. Louis. Yeah, so I'm in Central. So for me, it's 10:30.
Okay, that's not. That's not too bad. Yeah,
I don't know what my producer
East Coast. I'm East Coast, so we're a little more. More. You guys are coming around.
I don't know what Sean is setting up here. Sean wanted us to ask you about the New York Yankees.
Who?
Sean did.
Why would we talk about the New York Yankees on this show? That's an AL team.
When my producer asked me to ask
we're
a
talking
question,
about is the Oakland A's as an answer to Liz Shannon Miller's question.
He asked it.
I don't know.
More guarantee.
Why would we talk about the New York Yankees? If we're going to talk about any two teams, it's going to be probably the Atlanta Braves and the St. Louis Cardinals, of how they're on a collision course for one of the greatest NL championship series of all time.
Yo, I love the Cardinals so much. I love the Cardinals.
Go Braves, baby. Go Braves.
You know what? I respect that. I do respect the Braves. I really do. I love the Braves. My grandpa, he was a baseball player for the Cardinals. He was actually a first baseman.
Easiest job in all of baseball. Shout out to him for getting away with the easiest job in all of baseball.
It was a huge deal. He was drafted when he was 17. He dropped out of high school, and it was the time. It was the 40s, So yeah, it was a very, very long time ago. But there's it was so. I mean, we have like my uncle. He had like a baseball shrine dedicated to my grandpa. Like all the gloves, old timey gloves and bats and everything. There's like bricks from like the old stadiums and all that. But yeah, it was a very different time. But yeah, the Cardinals are very special in my house.
So then so I have to ask somebody who lives in St. Louis, do you still follow the Rams?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I just want to make sure there's a little salt there. There's some salt there. Sam Bradford's not all that.
We have no beef with the Rams. We have a beef with the owner that sold him because he called us
he sold it to the Liverpool guy. You want to take it up with John Roca. Take it up with the Liverpool fan.
Oh, I know. I don't care about Liverpool, whatever.
They now own the Rams, so I mean, I'm just saying.
Whatever. I don't care about that. But the thing is, the Rams, Rams have been around for a very long time, and it really kind of hurts my soul a little bit. I mean, when that happened, when they called us like a trash city, that no other sport can succeed in St. Louis, and then the next year we win the Stanley Cup. So for hockey,
I'll give you that Stanley Cup was some other energy.
Dipping the T-Revs and the marinara. Oh.
No, my stepmom's family is from Lower Missouri, so the love for St. Louis sports. They're from Cape Girardeau, which is where
nice.
It's where Gone Girl was shot. Fun fact.
Oh, I'm aware.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, I got a random call.
Don't try to
Missourians
quiz me. Don't try to quiz me on movies made in Missouri. Okay.
No, Missouri. I know Missouri. Oh, I know Missouri for sure.
Okay.
Oh, for sure.
I got you, Missouri.
And I know when Missouri moved into the SEC, we now have the other Columbia, because that's where the University of Missouri is in Columbia. Yeah. So we're the University of South Carolina, also in Columbia. So now we have the battle of the Columbias.
Yes, and my brother, he actually played baseball for Clemson.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's
screw him for going to Clemson, but besides that, we're good.
Whatever.
It's fine.
Okay.
It's in my blood.
I will die on that Clemson.
That's fine.
Hill,
Clemson baseball's terrible. I got back-to-back national South Carolina baseball championships, so we're good.
I don't fucking care about that.
My favorite sport is Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed.
Yeah, we get into sports.
Oh my gosh, you know what?
Can I pour the whiskey?
Okay. Can we talk about unconventional sports? A sport that I've been like low-key been getting into.
Quidditch.
Oh my gosh. I wish. Is because that looks so ridiculous in person.
College Quidditch is ridiculous in person.
It is so stupid. But the idea is so much fun. But I've been really into competitive tag. Have you seen competitive tag? Yes. Oh, shnikes. It is.
I know they did the show.
Take the show and then Adult Swim it, because the adrenaline in the action is just like it's unreal.
It's a mixture of like sprinting with like parkour, and it's like.
But imagine the stress of your parents like telling you to come home when you're 7 at the same time while you're playing. It's like, but I still gotta play. It's like these guys, they're just strung a different way, that it's like, run because I'm being chased by a lion.
And it's not so much like you don't have like, it's not time. It is timed per se, but it's like you don't need to get from point A to point B or anything like that. It's not like parkour games or anything, but there's 2 people on opposite ends of the
Can I bet on this?
Yeah, the arena. Yeah, there is. It's actually becoming like a huge thing on the arena, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's boy, girl, whatever it may be. That doesn't matter. But there's like obstacles, and you're trying to get to them, and oh my gosh! And sometimes it can be like 12 seconds to tag someone. Other times it could be 40 seconds to tag someone, and it's intense. I swear, I don't breathe when it comes to like these little match things.
I want to see them play in like the American Gladiator set.
Yeah.
Or like Guts. Remember Guts? Like the aggro crag, just like have kids just like running around, like just like trying to hide from it. Like, it seems like, or like, well, you know, I hate to say it, but this is like one step away from the Hunger Games. It's like tag, you're it. And we can only have one
no
left
one's
standing.
actually dying, and it's not a class issue. No one's actually dying, and it's not a class issue. You know,
true.
And with the government.
Producer Sean asked, how did we get here? The New York Yankees. That's how we got here, Sean. The answer is the New York Yankees. And
you know what the problem is? I'm too good at my job. That's what it is. My producer said to ask a question. I asked a question. I'm the Ron Burgundy of this show. All right.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
There you go.
You stupid panda. Won't do anything.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Hey, you stupid panda. Do something.
Are you yelling at your door again?
No, I'm yelling at my Funkos. They don't talk back, though.
Yeah, they'll do that.
Yeah, they don't talk back. Unless I turn on the anime that they're from, in which case they very much talk back. But other than that.
That was my favorite Toy Story movie.
God, man, right? When they just decide. Well, we were all Sid at one point, right? Woody just turns his head around and decides to take matters into his own hands.
I love all the adult jokes in that movie. It's so ridiculous.
Oh, it's ridiculous to watch.
Like the hooker.
Oh, right. Straight up.
It's like a hook with like two lady legs with like pantyhose on it. It's just like, and she does like the, or it's just like, I see what you're doing.
Look, Toy Story. It's 1994. I see what you're doing. And what does Donald Glover say as Lando in Star Wars? He says, I don't like it. I don't approve of it, but I accept it. He's like,
there was that one, and there was the one that ended up being deleted from Toy Story 2, the casting couch situation scene.
Yeah, that was that was rough.
No idea.
Looking back, it is incredibly rough, especially
it's pretty
nowadays.
problematic. Speaking of problematic, has been from our producer's perspective the last 15 minutes of this show. And other than that, folks, we've been schmo downing for the last hour 40. We've been living it. Whew. I'm exhausted. I'm quite ready for next week's action because it's gonna provide just this stimulation that I haven't been quite ready for, because I honestly don't know what's going to happen next week. We got 2 matches with Ethan Irwin and Tom that I either see a knockout or all the way to the 5-pointers. It could go either way. And I see the same thing with Adam Collins and the kid. I see two players that are just on a collision course of success. You just can't see it. I just can't see either way. So final thoughts. We'll throw it over to Boggs. We'll throw it over to John, and then over to Alex. Boggs, where are you going with this week, man?
I can give my thoughts in the week. No one's interested in my opinion. I just want to know Alex's opinion, right?
Okay.
I want to know who you think is going to win out of Star Wars, the Spectacular, who's going to win the Inner Geekdom match, the final title match, and who's going to win the league overall. Please.
Wait, what does that mean, win the league? What does that mean?
Who's going to come first in the faction standings?
Top of the table, if I was to say that correctly.
Yeah.
Let me answer you this. What if you have hypothetically all the belts, but you're still in last place in the factions leagues?
Oh, you mean what it means in terms of titles? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No,
I've been asking myself that all season. What do these points even mean?
But
like realistically, just putting that out there. Spectacular.
So Star Wars. Who's winning Star Wars? Tell me quick.
I love Ace.
That's the right answer. Okay.
I got it. I would have to put money on Alex, though, to be honest.
But you like underdogs, right? You like underdogs.
Got a really nice name.
I do love underdogs. I could be completely wrong. I love me an upset.
There you go. Inner Geekdom.
Kind of to say Chandru.
Yeah, you dance partner. Okay, that's fair. And
that aside, I love Chance though. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. It's just like Chance. He was completely unbeatable, and Chandru was completely unbeatable. Chance, we've seen him make mistakes, so you haven't seen Chandru make a mistake in a while.
True. And who's going to finish number 1 in the faction standings?
Do you have a thing pulled up?
So it's going to be top 3 right now. They're 3 points
It's
separating.
swag, and then
swag.
it's Finstock, and then it's corruption.
Yep.
Wait.
48, 47, 46.
Finstock could hypothetically walk away after the team's tournament.
That's the thing, is the possible points for the exchange.
And you also get more points because they have a standing title. They have a standing title defense with Dan, so that's more points.
So Swag have got 2 matches already booked at Spectacular in a Geek Demand Star Wars.
Yeah, that's the thing about that. And who's their team for Swag?
That's
Final Exam.
Still, it's like another team that could just go on a run. It's crazy.
Okay, I'll go with Swag. Why not?
Drip.
Okay.
I'm in it.
That was it for me. And thanks for coming on the show, Alex. Really appreciate it. And yeah, good luck with everything you do. And don't be a stranger to our show, please.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're here every Friday, doing the live stuff, especially for the pay-per-views. We like that stuff. John, anything else?
Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed, Rule of Threes. That's all I have.
So that would mean Scrappy Doo.
No, that's Scooby-Doo 1. Colin! What if I got actually mad about that?
Yo, that is Scooby-Doo 1. The body horror I was referencing is Scrappy Doo turning into the giant Scrappy Doo at the end of Scooby-Doo 1. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Scooby-Doo 2 is just on some other energy that I just wasn't quite ready for. But folks, the energy that I am quite ready for is bed. That's the energy I'm ready for. And I know it's the energy that bogs all the way down here. Oh, wait. No, wait. I can find the angle.
Honey.
He's over there. He's all the way down there. And he's across the pond. So, folks, that'll do it for this episode of the Ultimate Schmodown Show.
Thank you so much for coming on, Alex.
Alex, you fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. It's really weird, hanging out and talking to somebody that you watch on YouTube 4 or 5 days a week. So it's kind of cool. So thanks for hanging out. And like Bach said, don't be a stranger.
Now you're officially Outlaw Nation. You're officially Outlaw Nation.
I'm telling you,
it's the other way around.
I'm just gonna.
It's the other way around. No, John's totally right.
I'm just gonna back the fuck out of here.
That's fair. Yeah.
You can be Action Army and Outlaw Nation. It's okay. We can.
No, I can't.
No. You can. Yeah, right. I noticed you are a special guest still, right? Special guest, Alex. So joining us. Yeah. No, please. Yeah. We're here. To do the thing. Yeah. I hear you. No, nothing's happening, John. That's the point. But everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We've been here for pushing 2 hours. So thanks to everybody hanging out. And we'll be back next week to break down the final matches of round 3. And then we're going to get into the Fantastic Four, because nobody could sue me for misusing that name. And so that'll do it for this episode of the Ultimate Schmodown Show. We will be back same time, same place. And we'll be back. Thanks, folks. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.